Bam! No way that dude would be okay standing that close to that blast. It just takes one guy with an RPK to just lay it down in that alleyway through the smoke and you and whatever's behind you too. This is a pretty good spot he's in right now. He's not on the very top of a building, he's just kind of in it. See, that guy couldn't see him. 37. The communication is something that is going to help you out a lot playing more realistic shooters like this. Seems like these guys are pretty casual kind of players. Some things communication wise they could maybe be a little bit more straight and to the point about.
Squad, if you could mark targets for me, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And super pinned.
What that guy is asking for is basically an ADRAC. They know they're taking contact. They need to know the direction, the range. You know, are they coming from north, northwest? Are they 200 meters? Are they 50 meters? Luckily, in video games like this, it kind of helps you out a lot with that. This does seem, you know, pretty realistic so far. I guess we'll kind of see as it goes on. It's very common in school infantry stuff where they're going to teach you how to call out that contact, basically what our other teammate there was asking for.
Keeping us alive.
He was standing up about 6 inches off the side of a mortar going off. That his bell would be rang. Also, quick shout out. I feel like if I had to do the military over again, I'd like to be a mortarman. It seems like a cool job.
What'd you say? You said Jeep?
They're at the Jeep.
Oh, cool. He was changing his range on there. I guess you could call it a zero, an iron sight zero.
It's just the gunners.
There's that hide over bore again.
Alright, Squad C, go ahead and assist.
Yeah, it's good to hear all this communication of where guys are, and they're moving as a cohesive unit, much different from our last gentleman. I'll tell you right now, me, from personal experience, no. However, I don't speak for everybody. I was listening to a podcast. They were talking about, I mean, Jim Fuller's an AK builder. He's, you know, one of the best ever. And I believe it was them was having a conversation about some guys in Afghanistan. They were talking about how the AKs, the 7.62x39 that the AKs, the insurgents were using, were actually doing quite a bit better at cutting through trees and cutting through like that mountain brush and mountain trees that they were moving through during the day. So they ended up picking up a few off of some, you know, dead Terrys that they were kind of giving it back to them with that, so they could kind of punch through those mountain brush, because that round's got just a little bit more width, a little bit more ass behind it. To kind of punch through that brush. So in some use cases, I've heard a little bit about it, but like I said in the beginning, from my personal experience, no. Oh, good to throw that smoke out there, kind of obscure. You would want to, what's called, get him off the X. If you can help it at all, which a smoke screen is a great way to help that. You need to get him away from where he was initially hit. Because if they hit him once, they can hit him again. You know, in a perfect world, in a more realistic game, maybe you'd want to kind of drag that guy either to the other side of that wall or back to any other sort of cover or just a more desirable place to treat the casualty. If I see a smoke screen come up and I'm a bad guy, I might think, hey, there's probably something important going on over there. So, you know, it just takes one guy with an RPK to just lay it down in that alleyway through the smoke and you and whatever's behind you too. So everybody carries around what's called an IFAK. An IFAK is an individual first aid kit. In the Marine Corps, we have corpsmen, Navy corpsmen. They are kind of the medic element to the Marine Corps. For combat arms guys, for infantry guys, for combat engineers, for, you know, pretty much anybody that's going to be in combat or has a good chance of being in combat, your command's pretty much going to send you to some follow-on medical training. Now, you're still going to have your corpsmen for more advanced kind of medical stuff there. You know, I'm not doing blood work or anything, obviously.
Oh, this is close. Here we go.
This is kind of a good example of what's called the fog of war. It's just you're in a rock and a hard place, tunnel vision's setting in, there's not a lot of good decisions to be made because he doesn't have multiple eyes on telling him, hey, you know, we got guys coming out here, you should move this way. He's having a bad day right now. There he goes. Yeah, see?
Alright, let's do this.
That's why it's important to have a good zero on your rifle.
Let me rally west.
This is a pretty good spot he's in right now. He's not on the very top of a building, he's just kind of in it. So he's going to be exposed from pretty limited angles. He has a very wide field of view, so that he's in a pretty good spot. See, that guy couldn't see him.
Yo, we got enemy
Squad lead, I
group,
killed him.
coming west from the fob.
It's a good heads up for his squad leader, but I would not be pointing my gun at him. Yeah, in a mortar strike, I'd maybe want to be inside. Oh, he is dragging somebody, so you can get somebody off the X in this game. From what I said before, maybe you could have done a little bit differently. It would have turned out a little better.
There's so much blood.
Pushing up.
This kind of loadout that he's using right now is pretty identical to what I had in the Marine Corps. The M4, your RCO, Trijicon ACOG, fantastic optic. PEC 15. It looks like he's got it off his right side. Doesn't really matter where you put it. It's just kind of, it's shooter's preference, really. It's a pretty realistic setup, like for what you could expect out of your average like Marine to have. It looks like he's got like 6 mags. Generally, I'd carry a little more, closer to 10, and then you'd have more in your backpack. Damn! Yeah, watch out. You see all those rocks coming? That guy that he just killed there, no way that dude would be okay standing that close to that blast.
Dude, the? Yeah.
Oh, what?
You see his plate carrier right there? That's like more of a team leader, kind of rifleman plate carrier is going to be set up as. You see how he's got, kind of, like how I was saying, closer to 10 mags on there? Yeah, he's got the 40 mic belt on too. That guy's loaded down. Wow. I mean, whoever's got a gun pointed at you would be my first target. You know, I want to take out their ability to return fire onto me and then kind of work my way to the driver from that point. But definitely, I'd want to make sure that whoever has the capability of accurately shooting at me first is not going to be around much longer. He like barely cleared that arch. That close to being a pretty serious mistake there. Now I'm not sure which one is the guy's point of view I'm looking at, but I would have a little bit more communication here, talking about where I'm seeing guys coming from, their range, not necessarily just to get help with engaging those targets, but just kind of have the whole team generally aware of what's going on. You know, you don't have anybody back up into an exposed position or anything like that. Now, what I do like about this game, what I've kind of noticed about it, if you look at the bottom right, where his collection of magazines are, you can see they're separated into white, yellow, maybe closer to an orange, a red, and gray, grayed out, blacked out. There's something called an ACE report, where you're kind of relaying your status on ammo, casualties, and equipment. Normally with ammo, you separate it into green, yellow, red. I like that for this game. It's quite a bit more realistic because, you know, in Call of Duty and maybe even like Battlefield, you see on the bottom right of your screen, it's like, I've got 14 rounds left in this magazine. When I'm under pressure and I'm shooting an AR, even in certain competitions, I'm not counting every single round every single time. It's easier to kind of think about it because I can pick up a mag out of a plate carrier if I'm at some sort of tactical pause where I have a second, and I could pick up a mag and I can say, all right, that's pretty full. You know, that takes a second. But if I were to pick one up and be like, all right, 1 second, hold on, I got 20 rounds left, you know, so it's a much more realistic representation to show that, you know, hey, I've got 3 mags that are in the yellow, so I'm like halfway there, can't put an exact number on it. I got 1 in the red. I might have 2 rounds left in that magazine. That is a much more realistic addition to this game. Uh-oh. Rollover. A rollover on a truck like that, one of those personnel carriers without a top, would not have gone that smoothly. People die like that. I mean, you're always dressed in camo, just being your uniform, but actually something I've seen from the Marine Corps Instagram lately of them taking pictures of people on Muse and other various kind of training. Jungle warfare is one that comes to my mind specifically, but I'm seeing a lot more scrim on people's gear nowadays that the Marine Corps is cool with. like that's actively being used. I'm seeing more comprehensive face paint. I'm seeing people using brush and leaves and whatnot to kind of further camouflage themselves, which is something I feel like from my day to now is being taken a little bit more seriously, which I think is overall a big positive.
This is war, okay?
I love it.
It's war, okay? These guys are pretty funny. Seems like these guys might play this a lot together, which helps out a lot more. Like when I was talking earlier about those standard operating procedures that are, in the military are given to you by your chain of command, or by, senior leadership. They're the ones that kind of pass down those standard operating procedures, and they're changed kind of as the battlefield changes. The more you kind of run through reps with somebody, the more you train with them, or in this case, the more you play video games with them, you kind of can communicate and give information on where enemies are. I can tell you how I'm doing on ammo. I can tell you all sorts of things. It just becomes a lot easier when you have a group that you're used to playing games with, or you're used to going out actually real life training with. So it seems like these guys have a lot of fun with it and are comfortable and familiar with each other, which is a big part of the teamwork necessary to be successful at something like this.
Do you toe strike or heel strike?
I used to have a little trouble running, and then somebody was like, just run on your toes, bro. And then after that, I was like, oh, well, okay. I guess I've just been doing this wrong my entire life. Is he healing both of them at the same time? He's super doc.
Probably gonna have
To keep explosives on you all the time, pretty mission dependent. I mean, combat engineers, like where I come from, a lot of like division engineers and stuff do a lot more breaching, a lot more demo. That stuff's dependent on unit. Some engineer units are more geared towards construction, some are more airfield damage repair. Bridging is one that I did for a little bit. I really enjoyed. But you will almost always have, if you're breaching, like if you're on a mission here where you're a breach commander, assistant breach commander, what have you, and a team of engineers and infantry that is going to do some sort of breaching, you will have some explosives on you there, C4, what have you. That will all just kind of get disseminated to you through the unit there. But if it's your job, yes, absolutely. And then aside from breaching charges and things that you would have to set places, you'd also have like frag grenades on you. I don't know if that kind of helps clarify it a little bit, but that would be more of a common thing to find on a Marine, would be something more simple like a frag grenade. So my favorite military vehicle, and the one I feel most safe in, would probably be a Buffalo. It's a very large armored kind of truck. You can fit about a squad-sized element inside of it. It's got this big boom arm that comes around. It's got a rake. It's got an air compressor hose kind of out the front to where you can, possibly move yourself around a minefield, or IEDs, which are improvised explosive devices on the ground. So it's kind of doing its best to keep everyone safe from those. Another one, maybe not the one I'd feel most safe in, be a Husky. It's just got a very large kind of rake on the front. I use the term rake pretty loosely there because it uses radio waves to kind of shoot into the ground and pick up things that could be buried in there that are explosive. But those are kind of designed to get hit once and then you hop out of them and you leave. I actually had a staff NCO at one point in time. I think he got blown up 2 of them in the same day, which is nuts. But yeah, my favorite, and probably the one I'd feel most safe in, would be a Buffalo, for sure. They're a good one. It seems a lot more realistic. It seems like it's really fun to play. I wonder if I could figure out how to download this. The mag thing definitely gets it points for realism. Out of 10 from the game as a whole, I'd give this like a 6 or a 7. I think probably a 7, based on you're not going to get super far in this game without good communication, seems like, but it still seems really fun, and it still seems like you could enjoy it, and it's not like putting in work actually trying to play the game. It doesn't toe the line of being like too realistic, which I think is a great thing for video games. All right, guys, that's about it for Squad. If you'd like more Experts React, go check out Gamology's Facebook and YouTube pages. If you'd like more of me personally, you can check out my Instagram is @shooter.dad. Work Instagram is @AaronsGunCabinet, and stay mentally, spiritually, and physically prepared.